Hello and welcome everyone, this is Calebovitsch coming to you with another episode of Deck Check. And today we will be doing two memes in one, as I have been trying to get one meme card engine going in the Throne format, and I combined it with a meme payoff that is in the same colors as the engine. Well, let's cut this short and let's rebuild the vault. As I said, in the intro, some time ago, a couple of weeks ago, or was it even previous week, I tried to make a deck around the card rebuild. It is a new legendary from Argent Depths from set 9 in Eternal Card Game that is a interesting and strange looking spell for time, but in reality for Praxis. It costs 3 power, but has 4 time influence requirement. It is a slow spell with Revenge that says you gain 1 health for each of your units, but also you get +1 power this turn for each of your fire influence. Given that life force is not a huge thing these days, especially not as much as it was in the past around set 3, the second part of it, you get +1 power this turn for each of your fire influence. So this card, if you're playing it in Praxis, and I have to tell you, it has to be 2 color. If you want to use Rebuild for its highest ramp potential, you have to build a Praxis deck. In the past I have tried splashing blue into it, and then, well, Rebuild was a card, but it was not having such a huge boost impact as it does in this version of the deck. Anyway, so the thing about Rebuild is that if you play it on turn 3, you usually don't have enough influence for it to ramp you up that much, so it has to be used more mid-game. Also, the first time you use it, you usually have around 3 to 5 fire influence because you have to ramp up your time to at least 4 as well. So for 3, you gain +1 or +2 power for the round, etc., etc. But this is not where the beauty of the card lies. The beauty of this card lies with the Revenge mechanic, because if you shuffle it into the top 10 cards of your deck, hopefully the sooner the better, when you play it from Revenge, you don't have to spend the 3 power. You just gain +1 power this turn for each of your fire influence. And that is where the engine part of this one comes into play. As I said, some time ago I tried putting this rebuild engine into an old meme deck based on Midias, the Leyline Dragon that grows its attack for each spell you play, combining it with very expensive spells such as End of the Barrel, 6 power, +8 power this turn, or +10 power this turn with Tribute, and Soul's Rest, 8 costing, take an additional turn after this one, combined with Volatility. You draw each dragon such as Midias and each expensive spell such as the ones that I have shown you from the top 10 cards of your deck. The problem with Volatility was the Revenge rebuild goes to the bottom of your deck, and that's a non-bow. Anyway, I was trying to build a combo deck or meme combo deck around that. It was okay, but it was not the greatest. So I just took the engine of Rebuild and building around Rebuild and put something else to it. Second part of Rebuild is where the beauty of this engine lies. As I said, it has to be in Praxis, right? So if you are mid-game and you have ramped up by 1 or 2 or something like that, and you play Rebuild, even if just for 3 fire, you then reshuffle it back to, put it into the top 10 cards of your deck. And then what you do is you play Wrath of Caiaphas for 7, for its full effect. Each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. So you discard your hand, you draw 7 cards. If one of those is the Revenge rebuild, and 7 cards, and you put it in the top 10 cards of your deck, so you have 70% chance of doing that. Then, on the turn you play Wrath of Caiaphas, you can do other stuff as well. And that is the second half of the meme engine. That is rebuild Wrath of Caiaphas. For that, you have to ramp up your fire influence and your time influence, because that requires at least 4 time. So this is where the power base comes in very handy. You have to put a lot of dual praxis powers in. So we have crests, we have seats, but unfortunately that's about it. Because in this one, I'm also using an old engine from one of the previous videos, and that is Arcanum Hourglass, the 2 costing time relic that says, at the start of your turn, play a random power card from your void. If it can come into play ready, it does come into play ready. Also, we are running 7 vows. Fortunately, we have 4 praxis vows, so we don't have to go off color as in Xenon. I mean, still, Silex is better than vow usually, but for this engine, vow is almost perfect. It is a power that doesn't give you anything, just a non-depleted power source, but also you may discard a fire or a time sigil from your deck to gain that influence, an influence of that type, and take 1 damage. You can skip it if you're at, for example, 1 health and you would die. I died once, I lived another time, so there is that from time to time. But 4 vows is not enough for your Arcanum Hourglass to be really powered up. So I'm also running 2 Stonescar vows, which can honestly only give us fire, and 1 Combrai vow, which can only give us time. You can also just ramp up to 3 Stonescar vows instead of one of the Combrai ones. It depends on your personal experience. Anyway, so yeah, this is one of the ways of ramping this deck up. Also, remember, if you're running Arcanum Hourglass and vows, playing each vow with Arcanum Hourglass in play is actually like playing a symbol, which means it gives you 2 influence of that type. For example, if you play Praxis Vow, you discard a fire sigil, you get a fire influence, but then with Arcanum Hourglass you have the option of getting that fire sigil from your void into play and getting another fire influence. So it can ramp you for your influence up for 2 if you are running Arcanum Hourglass in this deck as well. Okay, so you know the engine. Now for the payoff. There is another meme that I tried making work in the past. I was unable to. I even tried it in draft at one point. Also didn't work. But we have unlocked the vault, and this is potentially a devastating, huge combo payoff. It is a 6 costing praxis spell that allows you to do 3 things at once, all 3. And you have to say it very fast. You get to play a relic weapon, a non-weapon relic, and a non-relic weapon from your void. And you say it's twice more. Play a relic weapon, a non-weapon relic, and a non-relic weapon from your void. And then you play a relic weapon, a non-weapon relic, and a non-relic weapon from your void. Yeah, someone challenged me to say it a couple of times very fast. I hope that was good enough. Anyway, so obviously you can just play some stuff. If some stuff dies or gets killed, you can replay it again. But the better option, obviously, is to just discard some cards and get them back for cheaps, like a Fel Reanimator, but in Praxis and for relics or attachments in general, non-cursed attachments. Okay, so let's get the biggest weapon, let's get the biggest relic weapon, the biggest non-weapon relic, and the biggest non-relic weapon, and let's keep them on color. Okay, let's not go to Martyr's Chains, etc., because we want to keep it as a half ramp, half combo, because in this deck, if you rebuild and Wrath of Caiaphas into rebuild and get some expensive cards, you might end up with enough power to just play those cards. So why clutter your hand with unplayable stuff if you can have good stuff in Praxis? And the good stuff in Praxis includes, but is not limited to, okay, when it comes to a non-relic weapon, the biggest one available almost is Draco Shaman Circlet. It is an 8 costing double fire weapon. It gives its wielder +5/+5 and flying. Also, the wielder is a dragon, and when the wielder attacks, create and play a random dragon. Plain and simple. Next up, for the biggest non-weapon relic, we have Pit of Lenecta. You all know it, and you either all love it or hate it, but you can't be neutral towards Pit of Lenecta. It is a 9 costing triple time relic that says, when an enemy unit goes to a void, you gain 2 health, but also empower, not surge, empower, the old one, the old keyword. When a power card comes into play on your side of the board, you get to play 2 7/7 Sandworms Exhausted. Okay, as far as the first part goes, when an enemy unit goes to a void, remember, this is not you killing enemy units. If your opponent discards a unit, or self-mills a unit, or you mill their units, you also gain health. And this is where Wrath of Caiaphas comes into play very handily, because if you have Pit of Lenecta in play and you play Wrath of Caiaphas, your opponent discards their card. If they had any units, you gain health. Sure, cool, why not? As far as the biggest relic weapon goes, we have Shafka's Embrace, the, well, one would say unplayable because it costs 9, it is triple fire, it is an 11/7 relic weapon, strange stat line, but also has a crazy ability of Entomb. If it's your turn, draw 7 cards and reduce their cost by 1 permanently. At the end of your turn, discard your hand, including those cards and the cards you already had. Yeah, so you don't need to go for all 3 cards with Unlock the Vault. If you just get 1, you get a huge discount of 2 or 3 power. And that's huge. I mean, if you can unlock the Vault on turn 4 or 5, it's just amazing. It's just plain and simple amazing. Also, if you don't have a Pit of Lenecta, you can still get back an Arcanum Hourglass, which gets you back some power, and you can ramp up and just play other things. And if it turns out that that you have an Arcanum Hourglass in play, and you play Wrath of Caiaphas, you can discard all those power cards. You're just gonna get them back. Also, Arcanum Hourglass plays you a power card each turn, which powers out Pit of Lenecta's Sandworms. I mean, it's a huge combo here, if it works. And it sometimes does. Okay, so theoretically, the biggest problem for Praxis would be putting those expensive cards in your Void. And I don't want to run cards such as Chairman's Contract, because it's a neutral power and we need a lot of influence. That's another reason why we're not splashing a third color into this deck like Justice or Primal. Discard the top 2 cards of your deck. No, you have to do it another way. You have to do it in a better way. And if you've been playing any drafts in the past couple of years, well, Learned Herbalist is a card you might love, and you will love it in this deck for sure. It is a 2-costing 2/2 time cleric that says when you play a spell you gain 1 health. And that comes into play very handily. But also summon, you may discard a card to create and draw secret pages. That is a 3-costing fast spell that plays a sigil of your choice from your deck depleted. So not only do you get to discard one of your expensive cards, but also you get to ramp up towards either another one of those expensive cards or unlock the Vault, or you gain another influence to play Rebuild, etc, etc, etc. Another way of discarding cards is another card you might love or you might hate. It's Jack, Mercenary Hunter. Usually a gunslinger, but sometimes a dragon. It's a 3-costing triple fire 2/3 gunslinger, but you usually play it for 4. Because on summon you may pay 1 and discard a card to deal 2 damage to 2 enemies. Jack gets double damage if it's a sigil. This is the deck where Jack usually doesn't deal double damage. Or at least you don't want Jack dealing double damage. You just want to clear the opponent's side of the board a bit and discard a Pit of Lenecta or a Shafka's Embrace or something. Also, when Jack hits the enemy player, you get to create and draw a treasure trove, which draws you even more cards, etc, etc. So Jack is to clean up the board and discard cards, and, well, he does it all in one huge gunslinger package, sometimes a dragon. Well, no combo deck would be here without having an access to a market, unless it was even-hand golem combo deck. It is the Praxis one, East Annex Smuggler, is a 3-costing Praxis 2/3 charge merchant. You may swap a card from your hand with a fire or time card in your market, and we have the market up and ready. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm memeing up enough. I used to play 4 Trailmakers in this deck, and if you don't like Endros, you can end up playing 4 Trailmakers. But these are very vulnerable. It is a 2-costing 2/1 Time Explorer. It gives you +1 max power, but on summon it also gives you an influence of your choice. I tried running Praxis Strangers in the previous iteration and the medius iteration of this deck for a bit, but it was too clunky and it didn't do anything, and I usually wanted just to discard it. Trailmaker is better because it gives you +1 max power, but it is very vulnerable. So I thought to myself, okay, let's meme this up. We are getting up to a lot of fire power, literally. Oh no, fire influence. And fire power as well, with Jack at least. So why not play the good old or bad old Endra, Champion of Shafka, another card you are probably not neutral towards. It's a 3-costing triple fire. Yes, it had been nerfed from a 2-cost double fire. 2/2 Rogue. On summon you get to play Shafka's Song, and Shafka's Song cannot be stopped. And on Mastery 6 you get to play Shafka's Song again because, as I said, Shafka's Song cannot be stopped. And Shavka's Song deals 1 damage to an enemy plus an additional damage for each other Shavka's Song in your void, and you get +1 power this turn for each damage Shavka's Song deals. Dealt. Yeah, this is just to sweep up some small opposing units, but as I said, this is just topping off a meme and a meme with another meme. You might just want to go the easy route with Trailmakers. Next up, well, I think I said all about this deck. We just want 3 pauses for reflection. If you're not running Andros, you can run Torches in this spot. It is a 1 costing time fast spell. You get to put a unit or relic with cost 3 or less into its owner's hand and you gain 3 health. This helps you bounce back your Smuggler or your Endra or your Jack and replay them again. But also it works against aggressive decks, especially against Justice-based decks recently with Trickshot Ruffian. So you just usually bounce the unit they are buffing so you don't die. Also 4 copies of Kairos' Choice instead of Torches, because you can put one of your units back into your hand. This is another way of bouncing Endras and Jacks, etc, etc. So you do have that small Endra engine going there if you draw multiple Endras and or pauses and or Kairos' Choices. This is another way for you to ramp up and or make your opponent rage quit. Alright. Power base is as it is. It does need at least 9 sigils. I am running 10 right now. It needs a lot of sigils because we are running a lot of vows and we are running herbalists, and well, that's it. Okay, let's finish up the long talk with the market. So if you access your market and you have a ton of power because you've played a lot of rebuilds, you can just nuke your opponent with a huge flame blast. It deals as much damage, usually to your opponent's noggin, as much damage as you have power at this point. Another one is Forgotten Find, the 2 costing time spell. You get to play 2 power cards from your void depleted. This is kind of a ramp from East Annex Smuggler if you didn't draw Arcanum Hourglass but already played a couple of vows at least, or you discarded a power of Learned Herbalist. And remember, if you have Arcanum Hourglass in play, then discarding power from Learned Herbalist and Jack Mercenary Hunter is like not discarding cards at all, but it is beneficial, not something that stops you. Next one is another meme card that I put here but didn't actually use. I think I used it once maybe. It's Begin Anew. It's a 3 costing quadruple fire slow spell that says discard your hand, created and draw a fire sigil and a random fire spell, unit and attachment. So if you know you can unlock the vault or you are running low on stuff, well, Begin Anew can discard all these cards for you, all these expensive cards while you're waiting for Unlock the Vault. I mean, Wrath of Caiaphas does that as well. Next up, Caleb's Persuader, a very proactive grab with the Smuggler. It is a 4 costing double fire weapon that gives the unit +3/+3. Also, when the wielder attacks, they deal 2 damage to the enemy player and you draw a fire sigil from your deck. Another reason why we have so many fire sigils. And last but not least, it is your way of dealing with opponent's relics, aside from pause for reflection. Kitty, aka Sabertooth Pride Leader, the 4 costing 3/5 double time ambush Kitty. Summon, you get to kill an enemy relic or you gain 3 health. And in this deck, you can gain some health with Pride Leader, with Learned Herbalists, believe you me, with Pits of Lenecta, and even with Rebuilds. And these are singular points of health, but they do matter and they do count from time to time. Right, that's enough theory for now. Let me show you a couple of games to explain how this deck works in practice. In praxis. Alright, the first game that I'm going to show you is with a slightly different version. It is running Trailmakers instead of Endras, but the game was amazing, so I just kept it here for you all. This is a complicated hand, but we do have a Vow, we do have Arcanum Hourglass, and so we do have a lot of ramp up. So Praxis Vow goes for fire, but you're going to see it in a moment anyway. Yep, let's get some fire in here. Initiative of the Sands, sure. Now we get to play Arcanum Hourglass, and we get to grab that Fire Sigil back. Next turn we can just use the second ability of Wrath of Caiaphas to pay 2 and grab a power card from your deck. If it's a non-depleted power source, you get to play a Trailmaker as well. So let's see. Opponent is running very aggressively towards us. Yeah, so I wanted to go for Wrath. We got a Cambrai Vow, which is amazing, because it not only do we gain 1 now, and we get to play Trailmaker and get Fire to get those rebuilds going. We will get another time in a moment for those. We will get a third time in a moment for those rebuilds. But the opponent is running a very aggressive Praxis go wide / tokens list. So right now we are taking what looks like 9 damage, and I think we have to take it and just chump block some stuff starting next turn. Seed of Impulse is a decent pickup. Fun fact, we can discard Seed of Impulse with Learned Herbalist, so we can get it into play next turn. And that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm not playing the second Learned Herbalist because I want to ramp up by 1. Sorry, not ramp up. Yeah, ramp up. Okay, so let's block that unit here and this here. And we're probably dying quite soon because we're taking 4, 5, 6, 7 damage at least. If the opponent has a rally or something like that, yeah, we're dead or almost dead. So right now we know we will have a 4th time from the void in a moment, so I went for Fire, so our rebuilds can be better. We are down to 7. We can play that Praxis Vow, but do we want to? I mean, this Learned Herbalist can just discard Praxis Vow for us. And given that we are just on 7, I think I could rebuild just to gain 4 health out of each. I can do this next turn as well, but I would need to draw something amazing, yeah. Like here, for example, we can do this. We are going down to 5. And the opponent is playing something that could finish the game for them. And that is Obliterate, targeting our face. But in response, we're going to go Secret Pages, grab a Fire Sigil, get up to 7, and we are down to 1. And just cringe. Okay, Wrath of Caiaphas would be the best draw here. Yeah, this is the situation with the Vow that I said. We are at 1 health. So you gotta remember. I could have picked a Fire Sigil and then we would have died. But here with Rebuild, we can play 1 Rebuild, gain some power. We can play the other, gain some power. Each Rebuild gives us 2 health because we have 2 units and 1 from each of those Learned Herbalists. And that allowed us to play Shafka's Embrace. So we went from 1 to 9 and 7 armor suddenly. And we still have 1 blocker. And that Sickle is, well, right now we need our Shafka's Embrace to remain in play until our next turn. Because if on our turn we can break Shafka's Embrace, we're going to draw 7 cards, and some of them are going to be those rebuilds. And, well, that is a Pitiful Enecta. And I will play Pitiful Enecta first. I was thinking whether to kill the 5-2, but I decided to just break the weapon on the 1-1 because it's safer for my face. We are gaining 2 health because we killed something. And we are drawing rebuilds and some power and some cool cards, and we're gaining 6 out of that rebuild. And we can play a... oh, we can play a ton of things. We can play a ton of things here. But remember, everything that we might play, that we don't play, is just going to end up in the void. I mean, sure, if power ends up in the void, we're fine. We can go Jack, we can go Trailmaker, we can even go Dracoshaman Circlet and do a lot of things. But the thing is, if we Jack over there, there is a non-zero probability of drawing the other rebuild in a moment. From the treasure trove that we are getting right now. So yeah, I'm playing that, and we are gaining 2 health because it's a spell, and that's the rebuild. We're gaining 3 from rebuild and 2 from those Learned Herbalists, we are suddenly up to 7 max power. We can play Draco Shaman Circlet, we can attack, we have the technology. We can play a dragon, that's just a 1/4 flyer, but still. We could play a... I think I didn't play a power this turn, so that was a small mistake. But still, just a minute ago we were at 1 health. Now we are at 24 and we have a commanding position of the board. And each turn we're playing a power from our void with Arcanum Hourglass, which gives us 2 worms. And yeah, this is the comeback of comebacks. At least in my history of playing this game. And the opponent is, yeah. I'm gonna cut this short. They rage quit. And we're getting the worms. And suddenly Jack is a dragon, and we're gonna get played another 1/4 and a 4/4. And we're killing the opponent. That's what you get for rage quitting. Okay, on to game number 2. Okay, the next games you're gonna see are with the Endra version. As you can see on the screen on the redraw hand. The hand that is getting redrawn. 2 power is not a lot, but we have Wrath of Caiaphas, which can give us a power. We have Learned Herbalist, which can ramp us up. We do have a Vow already. This looks like a clunky hand, but remember all those expensive cards are just getting thrown to the void later to be unlocked inside the vault. You know what I mean. Alright, and Wrath of Caiaphas for us to grab a power. That's a Praxis Vow, that's completely good. I think we want to ramp up Fire a bit because we have Jack. More than we need Rebuild right now. Rebuild can be a mid-game card. And there's Unlock the Vault, which is quite good indeed. So I think I want to go for Fire here. No, indeed, I went for Time because... Oh yes, I remember, we can go Smuggler. We can get rid of this, because we are going to get Forgotten Find for the next turn. And we can grab those 2 power and be up to 2 fire and 3 time next turn. Bullet Shaper, remember guys, now it's a 3/3 for 3. Kairos' Choice, well we could kill that and just attack, or we could ramp up. And I believe I wanted to ramp up and not attack. What is the opponent going to do? Silex. Yeah, sure, we're gonna take this attack. Another Bullet Shaper. Okay, they have 11 influence and 4 power. Yeah, I played the other power, not discarded it to Jack, because I could go Kairos' Choice, but I wanted to be tricky, and I wanted to attack, because if the opponent blocks, then we can Jack that away by discarding Draco Shaman Circlet, and then next turn we can get Draco Shaman Circlet back from the void onto Jack with Unlock the Vault. Yeah, so discard, kill that, get a treasure trove from the opponent. In response, opponent is playing Silverblade Intrusion, a card I dislike lately. And in response to that, we can, well, just do the fast 3 damage. This is turning out to be slightly better than Torch in this case. And, well, at least we are getting the treasure trove for our troubles. Alright. Next turn, Unlock the Vault. Play Draco Shaman Circlet on Jack. Attack with Jack the Dragon for 7. Get a dragon, because why not? And get a treasure trove, because why not? The opponent is trying to draw into something while we are going to unlock the Draco Shaman Circlet in the vault. And attack for 7. Get a dragon. It's a 4/5. And it combos with treasure troves because it has +2 power, sorry, +2 attack for each treasure trove in our void. So that's a cool friend that Jack brought. Jack Raw Da. Oh, you're not flying anymore. You're still a dragon, but you're not flying anymore. And the opponent misplayed there. They should have played Ijin as their first unit. Okay, Kairos' choice looks quite interesting. Let's get Treasure Trove. Wrath of Caiaphas doesn't do much right now. And yeah, let's play the second one so that the dragon is slightly bigger. And that's another Jack. That's good. So we can attack for 15 and have the 3 damage as well, just a surprise, because the opponent has to chump block with at least one thing. And after this we are just going to kill Ijin. Right, Caleb? Right, Caleb. Okay. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to kill Ijin, and Ijin would have just almost blocked Jack. I mean, if they had 7/8 Ijin, I believe they would double block with Ijin and the 3/3. We would have killed the 3/3 and we would have killed Ijin, and it would have been probably the same thing. Anyway, what we can do right now is just attack with both. Well, we might get a sigil as well, but we didn't. Yeah, we want to play that. And honestly, yeah, we want to attack with both. Now, if the opponent played the intrusion before the blocks, they could have just double blocked my 8/5 and killed it. That would have been unfortunate. I mean, they could have saved their units before blocks and, well, you know, they would have just lost one revenge unit, but they would have killed my flying dragon. On the other hand, I could have jacked before the attack, so they didn't have that opportunity, so there was a misplay on both parts of the board. Yeah, they get a lot of denouncers. What we can do now is play Crest of Impulse, and now 1 Pit of Lenecta should be enough. We can rebuild into playing Pit of Lenecta. We can do it before the attack, so that, well, we do gain some health from opponent's units dying. I mean, they're just gonna double block the flyer, at least, and they have to stop the 7/8, but they cannot kill both. They can double or triple block one, and they have to chump the other. And, well, we're gaining health, and we're gonna have some worms in here. Well, we need to keep the pressure on the opponent. Otherwise, they're what? Just gonna play some more Silver Blade, sorry, those menacing menaces. We gained 6. 3 denouncers go back on top. Svetia Lightbringer. Yeah, you gotta remember that you cannot play any units until the opponent's next turn. Until the end of the opponent's next turn. It came into effect in one of the games I was playing. I remember that. Now what I can do here is just play Vow and play Wrath of Caiaphas. Vow doesn't give us any worms. Wrath of Caiaphas can draw us into that rebuild. But what I didn't remember at this point was that the opponent also has revenge stuff up there. So they will get some denouncers, probably. I mean, what else am I to do anyway? Also, we are at 28, so if the opponent discards any units, we are going to gain health. And they discarded 4 units, so we gained 8 health. We are up to 36. We can play another rebuild because we have the technology, which gets us up to 9. We can play Shavka's Embrace. We can kill the 5-5. And we can attack them with the 7-8. They have to chump with one of those. Alright, they still have Svetia. And we are still gaining health. Yeah, Jack is getting torched, so he cannot chump block. Opponent is thinking, plays Ijin as a 5-5 with a weapon. Insignia, another double surge. Trickshot Ruffian for 11. Trickshot Ruffian for 11. And they're attacking us for a casual 27, which would usually end the game, but we're still at a healthy 17. Because why not? It only prolongs the game. Sure, they can also play etchings. Learned Herbalist. Alright. So what we can do now is go Fire Sigil, which gives us 2 worms. Learned Herbalist discarding this. Learned Herbalist discarding that. So we can play 2 sigils during the opponent's turn and get 4 more worms, and they will come into play quite ready. But the opponent's getting 2 of their denouncers. Remember, they just grabbed something from their market. And they are thinking. Trying to play this out somehow. Well, we are not in a great position. Yes, this is an intense one. They are grabbing another card from their market. Torch one of the herbalists. And here in response I wanted to gain 4 health. That is why I opted to play both those secret pages now. In retrospect, that could have been a mistake. I mean, even if they killed 1, I can still play those at the end of the turn. I will just gain 2 health instead of 4. But the opponent still has 2 market cards available to them. And they can wreak some havoc here. Yeah, they're torching the second one. And attacking. Now, here I thought the opponent could have gone for Rujin's Choice, giving Ijin double damage, attacking me for at least 21 if I blocked the 5-5. That's why I opted to just block the 9-9, but it turns out they didn't have any fast spells. What they did go for is Pristine Light, though, which ruins my plans, because all the worms are now gone. If I left at least 1, well, preferably 2, of those back up, of those secret pages back up, that would have been amazing. Well, anyway, this is all for naught, because I did draw a top deck rebuild into Wrath of Caiaphas. We're discarding both our hands. I hope I will gain some more health with Pit of Lenecta. And can we end it somehow? Well, East Annex Smuggler can end this. Yeah, we gained 6 more. Alright, so we're gonna go for another rebuild. Flame Blast, get the rebuild going, gain some health, because we can. And smack the opponent for 18. Yeah, that should be enough. Alright, on to game number 3. But it was a nail biter at one point. This is an interesting hand, but it doesn't have any dual power, which might be a hindrance. Well, I will change one Wrath of Caiaphas into power at least. Well, Jack helps. Second power is going to be a Fire Sigil though. Arcanum Hourglass is an interesting pickup here. Praxis Vow is a very good pickup here. So I wanted to go for time to get that Arcanum Hourglass. And, well, it didn't go for fire this time, but the next one is going to go for fire, or just get a Seed of Impulse from the top of our deck. Which means we could go for Endra, we could go for Jack. Well, if Jack discards this Time Sigil, we are getting it back with Arcanum Hourglass, which is a combo. Kind of, because it's a free shot. Free shot, free kill. And, well, we can try to attack, or we could go for East Annex Smuggler and grab something from the market. Yeah, I just opted to go slow here. I think that one is gonna die. Yeah, it usually dies. That's no wonder there. Could go for just a Treasure Trove into a rebuild. Go for Endra. To hit the opponent for 1. And just stay as is. Champion of Cunning. Now that's going to be a problem. Yeah, we can pause for reflection our unit back and replay it. We can go for East Annex Smuggler and take unlock the vault to the market, so it is safe from being discarded with Wrath of Caiaphas. We could go for a Flame Blast in for one of the following turns. But what I wanted to do here is bluff. Just a bluff attack. Sure, that's 2 free damage. I mean, we can pause for reflection anyway. We can gain 3 health. Play it. And we could break the Aegis, or we could go face. And this one, well, this one can go for Caleb's Persuader or some other things. I was just wondering what I can do with the cards that I have. Yeah, went for the aggressive option, Caleb's Persuader. Preferably played on the 2/3 so they cannot annihilate. Also, it's bigger than their champion, or at least can trade with the champion. Alright, they played a 2/2 Helio and drew 3 cards. We took 5. Another Arcanum Hourglass, sure. But first, let's attack with both. Here I thought I would play another song, but the other song has to wait. Sure. The other song deals 3 damage to the opponent, gets us up to 5. We can play Fire Sigil, get up to 6. Play Rebuild into Rebuild, get up to 7 and 8. Play Wrath of Caiaphas because we can. If opponent gets face Aegis, well, they don't discard their hand, but they still get 7 cards. That's 1 rebuild. And that's a Jack that can deal 2 damage. think we can get rid of one of those power cards. Yeah, probably that one. We're also getting rid of Aegis on that unit. And we can has pause for reflection on one or the other to deal some more face damage. I believe the next Shavka song deals 4 now. Turn to seed on Shavka on Endra? No. No, sorry opponent, I would like to disagree here. Yeah, we're gonna take 7. Down just to 21. Still good. Still a good amount. Now we can do one of a few things here. We can go Endra. We can go Draco Shaman Circlet on Jack. We can go Treasure Trove and draw the rebuild and gain a lot of max power. Yeah, we can finish it in one of several ways. All right, let's get on to game number 4, the last one. All right, 1 power hand. Ship it back. This is slightly more like it. I mean, we have double vow, we have something to discard with learned herbalist, we have unlocked the vault. Beautiful. And bountiful. Ooh, Arcanum Hourglass, that's even better. But I think I want to go for fire with that one, to get up to as much fire as possible. No? Just went for time? That was an interesting option. So I can get time. I can discard one of those fire sigils I have in hand to have another proc of the Hourglass. And we're playing against Rat Cage deck. Intriguing. Ooh, that's another vow. Yeah, that's just premium right here, right now. So do we discard Shavka's Embrace? Yeah, we still discard Shavka's Embrace. So this is turn 3. And on turn 4, we will be able to unlock the vault for Shavka's Embrace and just swat the rats, swat the rats. We are from the rat swatting division. Alright, gotta remember to play the sigil, not the crest. Yeah, just a relic weapon. Turn 4, 11-7 relic weapon. No biggie. I feel like I've just gotten a quest to get rid of all the rats in someone's basement. At least that's what it feels like. Oh, yeah. They're getting a giant mistake. Because now we can just whack that. Play whack a giant. Draw some cards. Yeah, I mean, I can jack first, but I can also do it later. When I know what I draw. Get rid of the rats. Get rid of the giant. Get rid of some health. Draw 7 cards. Look, Ma, it's another Jack. Hi, Jack. Yeah, that treasure trove is not doing much for us. I did not play a power this turn yet. Second Arcanum Hourglass could be Turbo Ramp, but yeah. And so what that we discard that hand? We have 2 double damage jacks. Rebuild. Okay. And now. 1 jack is coming through. Or not. To be honest, opponent is running out of cards and they have a 5-cost card in their hand with just 4 power and just 1 other card. I'm not gonna play rebuild here. I don't need to get up to 11 power. Bottled Storm, sure. So they still have a 5 costing card in their hand. Treasure Trove. Get something. Kyrus' Choice? Yeah, it's good. I just wanted to go for a very turbo option. Get Jack back and exterminate that rat again. So that Kyrus' Choice and a lot of power just meant doing even more damage. And I could play that Vow, or I could just keep it in hand, because I can draw Pitiful Enecta. Elvish Swindler gives them what? What exactly? Another rat cage. Alrighty. Yeah, we don't have much to do here. We could just boop a rat. Gain 1 power back. That doesn't do a lot. More than a Trailmaker would, though. I don't want to trade Jack here, because I could just draw Draka Shaman Circlet and tag the opponent for 14 for lethal. And here we can draw a ton of things. Seriously, we can draw Shafka's Embrace, we can draw Pitiful Enecta, power obviously. We can draw Draka Shaman Circlet, unlock the vault. We can draw Wrath of Caiaphas. So a lot of cards, seriously. So right here, just going on the defensive for a moment, because we don't need to do much else here. Opponent is utilizing their Bottled Storm. Good for them. Bad for Endra. And there's a Wrath of Caiaphas, so we rebuild first, for obvious reasons. We play Wrath. I'm not playing the power from hand. And there's the Circlet. And there's a rebuild of Wrath of Caiaphas. So I'm gonna go Circlet, and Casual 24, and Double Dragon. If that's not meme enough, I don't know what is. Alright guys, let's get back up top to the studio and talk about the deck some more. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Rebuild the vault. We can rebuild this. We have the technology. We just need 6 million power. But that shouldn't be a problem, because we can rebuild it again from Revenge. Because we have the Wrath of Caiaphas technology, and you can get many more references where that came from if you come to one of my Twitch streams. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck and this video. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, if you did enjoy it, click on subscribe. This is going to be it for this week. Calebovitsch out. See you next week.